us, we're a company that started in 2000. We're building a log home, and we had in 2003 the timber framing too. So we have two different teams. One where I'm with Yannick, is in charge of the log building division. So it's a family business. We start with my father and mother. Now my sister is in the company for all the design, actually all the drawing of the house. We have a team for that too, and so we mostly do all in the company. So we have a construction team too. My brother-in-law is in charge of that. So you see, it's a really family thing. What we're doing, we build in, we're in Mont-Tremblant. It's like an hour north of Montreal. So mostly our business is in that area. We export a little bit, but so we start, our goal is to build something that we always improve each year. It started in Canada, the log building in 70. So my father started log building about in the 85, 86. I grew up with the log. So at the beginning, I was more like a mechanic guy. I don't want to work in the wood. But in 2000, when I told my father, okay, I stop mechanic, we go log home. So we
and you have a wife and kids, correct?
Yes, a wife and 3 kids. So they are young, so they will grow up in the wood industry. I don't know if they want to go there, but
we'll give it the best shot we can, right? So a father can hope for it.
Yes. Thank you.
Andreas, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yes, I have to correct you because my name is Andrus.
Andrus. Leave it to the American.
Andres is totally another guy. You actually, most of you have joined the tour today morning, I guess, so you know about Hobbiton already, just shortly. I got introduced in log building when me and my partner Andres were close friends, and we looked for somebody who would produce log houses for Norway here in Estonia. There were only a couple of companies. By the way, you see people around here with green shirts. Tender Ehitus was much before our company. I think it's from 94 or 93, something like that. So we started in 97 in Estonia. We learned first from Ragnar, who is sitting there in the back seat. And then after that, 1 year later, we learned Norwegian log building from George Fuller, from Norwegian School of Log Buildings. And the first couple of years, I was doing the logs myself too. But then I married a woman from Tallinn, and she's in the tourist branch, so she didn't have any alternative than to live and work in Tallinn, on the north coast Estonia, and then I of course had to move there too. But somebody had to do the administration part, so I was the one. And Andres had the privilege of staying here in Rapina and working with production. So that's how it started. And I have not actually worked much with physical, but I have been on building sites assembling the logs from time to time. And it's always a pleasure to do that. And I'm mostly working in Hobbiton with export sales and managing daily finances. So that's what I do.
Timo?
Thank you. My name is Timo Aro-Heirila. My company, Hirsitikka Limited, is located in southern Finland, in Archipelago. We are making log houses, villas, lodges for customers with demanding taste. We are using the old growth, luxury log material for the projects, approximately 200 years old trunks with the largest diameters you can find. So that's like our product. And I've been working as a log crafter for around 20 years now, and I have crafted 57 log shells. And in my company, I'm mainly working alone. I have a construction facility a little bit like this, but mine is cold. So I'm still like in cold conditions, but at least weather stays outside. And my facility is like, because I'm working mainly alone, I can have everything running there. Like the trucks bring the logs directly from the forest inside the hall. It's quite much taller than this one. And I can operate with the bridge crane and dry them, mill them inside, debark them inside, and I can storage and air dry the logs inside, and then keep until I load the trucks with the ready product and go and assemble for the customer.
Okay. Next question.
Yes,
Are you ready?
also.
Briefly overview the feeling of how trendy the log house is in your country right now.
In Canada, we'll talk a little bit more specific in Quebec, because in Canada there's building code that is about the same province to province, but it changed a little bit. For the trendy, the log is always going a little bit up and down. So where we live, it's a lot of lake and mountains, so it's really the good place to be to sell that kind of house. So there's always time that the flavor of what is the good thing to bring in mountain. Sometimes they want to change for more modern, but since 2000, it's always going a little bit higher. The problem that we have the most is when bad companies start something. Because log home is special, and there is no way that to say that's the good or that's the bad thing. But when it was too strong, in maybe 2008, a lot of people invest from Europe in our place. So there's a lot of big companies that start and make big mistake in how they pile logs. It's mostly mild, so they don't take in charge of the settlement. So when they sell it, it's beautiful, but after that, it's give a bad reputation to log home. So it's why I'm not answering the question, but it's why it's important to make sure that our competition is good. Because what makes bad press to log home, by talking of what we have, what I see in our place, it's not good company that are the problem. It's always people that bring bad stuff, build it, and close. So after that, you have always a downtime because everybody that buy that stuff log home is not good or not airtight or hard to maintain. So if we do good stuff, we sell good, and the plan are really adapt to a log home. I think it will, the part of the market that we can have in Canada will grow up. We have the wood to do that. We have a good team. So we have the facility, not as big as here, but we have like a place that we can work inside, a place that we can work under a roof but outside, and we have a tower crane so we can work really outside. So the guys choose whatever the temperature is. If it's rainy, they will work inside. If the temperature is good, to work outside. So they have houses start everywhere, so they choose a little bit with the temperature. So what was the question?
You nailed it. Okay, same question. Estonia.
Estonia, actually our history is connected very much to Norway. From the beginning we have delivered most of our houses to Norway, and there was a period when we had to tell Estonian customers, I think before 2008, we had to tell all Estonian customers that I'm sorry, but you have to wait 1.5 years. So we only delivered to Norway 100%. But after that first crisis, or previous crisis, then we started to sell more in Estonia, and since then Estonian market has been always a good side market for us. And now the Scandinavian market is a little bit not so active right now, and we have managed to have more orders from Estonia. So now we have actually discovered the Estonian market is quite good. As a handcrafted log house builder, you don't need many orders. So if we get I don't know, 5-6 orders or maybe 10 orders, then it's already enough or too much. So that is what our good sales manager Ragnar has managed, and we have survived this difficult times in building market in Scandinavia. So I must say that we feel that log buildings in Estonia are still quite popular. We feel it on us. But at the other time, from the other point, I must say that there are not many producers in Estonia left. So everybody who wants to build a log house, or not everybody, but many will end up in our building factory. Yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but I think it's in Estonia right now is quite trendy. In Norway, it has been very trendy. It's a real tradition in Norway, and in Norway, why it has been so good sales in Norway is that it has always been an image for a log house that if you buy a cottage, then you buy, like when you talk about the cars, you buy a very high quality, like a Rolls Royce or very, very high quality thing. And if you don't buy a log house, then you try to spare your money. So it's a kind of trendy or a status symbol in Norway. So and when we started, we realized we were from Eastern Europe, and for Norwegians, of course, the Eastern Europe is almost Russia, and that means not so good quality. And we had to prove ourselves, so we had no other choice than we had to prove ourselves with the best quality what can be made. So that's always been our aim, and as you said, David, it has been different companies on the market, in our case too, the competitors, but we must say that the competitors who do the bad quality, they normally don't survive too long. Of course, it brings for the sector, it brings bad renown, but I mean, you just have to do your work well, and then you sell also good. Okay, that's my point.
Yeah, we are largely relying on domestic markets in Finland. So the history of Finnish log building tradition is very long, like everlasting, and we have very big, the world's biggest industrial log building sector, and its size is around 250 million euros at the moment, and it's maybe just 5 or 10% of the whole world's log building market. But out of that, the handcrafters' share is maybe just around, I would say, I don't know the exact numbers, but a few percent. So we are just talking something below 10 million euros a year, or something very, very small amounts of money what is running in our business, even though because our country is small, like compared to America, the market size is so unproportionate. But maybe 1/5 of our production goes abroad. But of the factory, we say industrial, is boring, cut from all sides, log buildings go there, and these so-called log houses that are made of glue. But the handcrafted industry is just domestic, basically. We cannot really ship anything anywhere. We are just relying in quality, and of course we are trying, but we have very hard competition from countries like Estonia that has like half of the salary. So if it's like salary connected, it's hard to compete with the price. So our strongest weapon is the extreme quality.
Why is Habitat manufacturing their houses in an enclosed environment facility like this?
We have actually. I remember when we started, we built one small house outside, and then we saw how dependent we are from the weather, and I remember we had order 4 small houses, and we had a small garage where we could fit this one small house totally from wall to wall, but we saw that we could build faster there because Estonian climate it's so that in winter it can be very cold, and in summertime it can be it's tough. Summers are different, but it can be like in England. It's raining every second day. But it differs from year to year. But we didn't want to be so much dependent on the weather, and of course in wintertime we cannot build outside anyway. So that's why we ended up producing in production hall, and soon we found out that we also should have a warm production hall. For the first, we have pre-dried logs, and for the second, people are working much faster if they are not working in winter clothes, and maybe have cold hands. And so on. So we had different production halls in the beginning. Some were cold and some were warmer. But now we have realized that it's really about efficiency.
Has that made a difference in your production and manufacturing?
Yeah.
And safety?
Safety is also one thing what comes along. But mainly it's all about efficiency also.
And how many log companies in Estonia to work under these same conditions?
Actually, I think that most of the companies in Estonia work inside walls. I think Tender company, the other company who is here, visit, they had a very long time this outside crane, but soon, like for many years already, they moved also inside because they saw the efficiency in that. But of course, it's a big investment, but we found out that that's useful.
How are the working conditions in Finland?
There is some companies, not many, just a few that are working in heated facilities, but this kind of cold halls are quite common. And then there is some companies with just working outside with tower cranes, but it's quite difficult in our climate because of the snow and ice.
And so you have limited production then? You try to
Pardon?
limited production then?
Yeah, it limits the production. So what is the most important is that you have a roof on top of you. It's very difficult to work outside. Like I visited Canada and all the yards that I visited, whereas yards with tower cranes, it doesn't really work in our climate. The product gets blue stain and swollen, and the guys get wet and angry, and yeah.
Then they want to start a union.
Yeah.
David, how the working conditions are where you're at your facility?
Where we are, it's really a four season. So in the winter, it's really cold, snowy. In the summer, it's hot. We have in the middle of that. So for sure, when we start, it was with a crane and in the yard, like I would say. So we tried to work all year round at that condition, but it was really bad for all part. The guys, it's really hard for them to work in the winter. For the money, it's not good at all because all the money that we do in the summer, we lose it in the winter because a morning that you start is -20. Yannick can tell about that. You want to work, but nothing happens. So you remove the snow, remove the ice, try to start the machine, broke the machine. So we're all about at the same. So we have to change our facility. So it's why we introduced to have hybrid, so we can work outside because when the weather is good like today, it's really fun to be outside with the chainsaw. So it's why we make sure that the team is happy, so they can choose to be outside, real outside under the roof, or inside with the floor heated.
Yeah, I knew it got really cold in Canada when I saw heated hand grips on the chainsaws. I was like, I've never seen that before, so I knew it was serious.
But you're not that far from Canada.
Oh. So what are some of the life challenges that you guys have with log building construction?
The challenge is always to teach a new person. We do all in-house. There's no school in the east of Canada for logging, and every place has its own style. We all do the same, but we have all our styles. So I think to grow, it's always we try to have always the best team, but to have we just hire people that fit with the team. So it's a long process. Now the log team is about 10 guys. We're 40% in the whole company, but for the log department. So yeah, if we have a great team and the team is happy, we can continue to go bigger, but we're happy with what we're doing now. I just go back a little bit, I start with the code and I don't finish that, so just for us, for the expansion, it's always depending on how, I know that in Europe they have some issue in that, so for us to build a log home in Quebec, Canada, it's really simple. At the end of the day, just have to make sure that your log home doesn't consume more energy than a conventional house. So how we know that? There's some not program, but you can use like at 2000. It's a modeling system that you have to at the same place with the same doors and windows. If you do what is asked in the code, and if you build a log home, if you put more, like in America, it's air 40 in the roof, so we just add a little bit insulation in the roof system and put doors and windows that are a little bit better, and there's no problem, depending on the size of the log that you use. But what we use in inch is about 15-inch diameter. That's made. Translate that, Kevin, in centimeter. So it's not that much. It's not an issue to meet the code.
How's Habitat handling the same situations?
You mean your values or the value?
Yeah, the values.
Yeah. Actually, we have delivered in different markets, and in 2010, 2012, we delivered quite many houses to France, and it was quite good market. But at some point, they made regulations which didn't allow logs to be, because they regulated the U value or this U value or R value of the outside walls. So it was just the log walls didn't meet it anymore. You had to have extra insulation, which is not the point with handcrafted log house. So we just backed up from that market, which is strange because in Norway they have always allowed to build log houses, also for living, I guess. In Estonia too, also in Finland and in Sweden, Nordic countries, but not in France. And it's also difficult, I have heard, in Poland and also in Germany. So each country in Europe is quite different. In Estonia, we are quite lucky because we know the guys who made the regulations, and those guys, these professors, they advised the officers to make such a law which would make us possible to build the log houses. Just the point is, like you described, you have to have more insulation in the roof, better windows, the total primary energy use should be acceptable. This is how it is in Estonia. In Norway, they have a rule that you have to have at least 20 centimeter wide logs, then it's acceptable. In Finland, I think most places is 25.
Yeah, but 18 is the ultimate limit.
Okay.
What size?
18 centimeters is the minimum.
But each municipality then decides, or
well, then what actually is, then it can be 25 in many cases, but like it's a long story.
but it's still okay to build log houses for living.
Yeah, I noticed that's becoming a huge issue, and we're discussing that worldwide problems with the log structures. As all the different governments, the different countries, we try to have to prove what's going on in their industry and trying to make these houses either tighter or more energy efficient, or to try to prove that they are efficient. Because in the United States, unfortunately, we won't accept testing from other countries because we are too proud, I guess. So, which is a shame. So it's like all the testing right now has to be done through Oak Ridge laboratories out of Tennessee, because we won't take testing from Estonia, we won't take testing from Finland, and we won't take testing from Canada. It's like when I was talking before in my opening remarks in the conference, our governments in each country put all these different regulations and different codes on us, and it just gets more and more difficult, especially with companies shipping packages all over the world. Sometimes it can be a nightmare, and that's where we have to get together as a family and community and try to protect our trade and preserve our trade.
I know, just a comment, I know that one guy from Germany, Timo Mans, is doing some testing about to change some, to have arguments to change the regulations. Because actually what I feel, I live in a log house myself, of course, and I built my house with not so good windows and with not so good roof insulation, but what I have is, I have this wooden stove, big stove, which I heat with wood, and I'm okay with that. And for a log house, it's totally okay. So I don't understand why they put those regulations so high. I mean, I'm okay with that solution.
I think it's about following the money.
Yeah.
What are the main challenges in the sector field of finding skilled workforce in the changing environments? How are you guys handling that with the workforce? Because I know in the United States, it's extremely difficult to find good quality skilled people because nobody wants to work anymore, at least in my country. So how's that happening in Canada?
Like everywhere else, I think, but like I said earlier, we have to train people in our yard. I think what is a good thing for us, we have a lot of CV that we receive, because for people from France or other country in Europe, Canada is like my log cabin in Canada. It's like the only way we're building over there. So people want to come and learn, but we have to teach them. We have a couple person coming from France. So it's not hard to find people to teach, but it's hard to find people that are already ready to work. So, but it's part of the game.
How's that in Estonia?
Yeah, it's a similar situation. This place, Rapina, is a very small place also, so to find enough young people who want to do this hard job, it's really a challenge. Luckily, we have now in Estonia now a log building school, which another Andres is here somewhere, and we are very thankful to him about that, for that job he does, and we have already got some workers from there, because he gathers people. I think there are 12 each year who study log building, and there can be some also from our region sometimes who would like to work in our company, and we're very grateful for that. But otherwise, it's really a big cost for company to teach the new workers, because you don't see if he wants to become or not before like half a year or a year of training, and then maybe he thinks that it's too hard. He will go to before it was to Finland to put Kiprok on the wall, but now it's that less work there too. Yeah, So it's been an everlasting challenge for us.
How's the workforce and the training in Finland?
Yeah, we have one school in eastern Finland in Kuopio that has a half a year's program. We don't really have longer studies available. But on the other hand, you actually learn in practice this profession. I have never attended a course log building and I still can do it. I think it's not really important, and the way we produce handcrafted log buildings is like more to like very special taste. We cannot compete in large quantities, and we have very small shops compared to many other, like the companies are very small, and very often the log builders do renovation, change the lowest logs, etc. And so, but what I'm doing, I'm like making like Swiss watches. So I'm just doing the ultimate. I'm trying to convince what is the task is to convince the customer that the customer gets the best possible product. That's like
I think for some of the young log builders here, if I was young again, what's amazing is a lot of these companies have a chance and open up for a broad training for log building. And I see that with a lot of other companies where you have a chance to go to Switzerland or France or Canada and learn new trades and new skills, because they're always willing to teach the trades. So it's a good opportunity to really advance in your skills if you're still young and single, to try and experience something else and something different and really broaden your skills and your horizons. How's your company doing about teaching its clients about preservation or restoration? Are you starting to do any restoration or preservation work, or are you seeing a need for it?
What we do for our own house is for sure what we teach to the clients to keep a log home in good shape. It's not the stain, it's how the concept of the house, how you protect with overhang. You cannot just build a log home like if it was a normal house. You cannot just put stain twice a year, and it will be the key. You need to do a good design. So that's the first thing that we try to. So we do our own plan inside. So if somebody would come with something that from outside that is not appropriate for a log home, we will not do it. So after that, yeah, there's a lot of old log home or something that was done that there's no protection and need to be repaired. We have a small team inside that do that, but we don't do we cannot do all the repair that we are asked for, so we have a small team that we refer.
So you see that there's becoming a huge demand for that sector.
Yeah, because it's hard work, and there's they're always changing. Every 5 years there's a new team coming and they're going into somewhere else. So yeah, it's not stable like a brand new house. So people going in that way, stain and repair change more often.
What about in Estonia? What are we seeing? We need more preservation, more restoration work, or is your company doing any restoration and preservation?
We have not done much restoration in Hobbiton, but our part owner Andres has a company, Vana Maja, or
Don't worry, I probably pronounced your name too.
But anyway, they are specialized on that, and we have decided that we leave that work to his team, and we do new houses in Hobbiton. But we have done that once when there were really not much to do, then we had a big this shed or stubble, or what's in English? It's a storage house from a bigger garden, a bigger farm, which was so bad shape that we brought the healthy logs to our factory here in Estonia. We replaced the bad logs and we brought it back to Norway. So that's what we did one time. But yeah, it's not the main thing what we do.
What about what's going on in Finland?
Well, in Finland there are 2 million old log houses. We have a very strong tradition, and as I already mentioned, most of my colleagues are working mainly with the restoration projects. My company has solely decided to rely on new buildings, so I'm just saying no to requests of restoration.
But you see a big need or demand?
Oh, there is the greatest need in that sector.
Yeah.
I must confirm what David said, that I have talked to the guys who do the restoration, that it's really hard work, and you do it for some years, but then you get tired and you want to do other things.
Or asthma.
Yeah.
Well, I do restoration work. It's not as easy as new construction, but it's rewarding trying to bring back an old building to new. And just touring Estonia, I've seen some log buildings that definitely need some restoration work done. But that's good that you guys are thinking abroad about doing restoration work, because I think that is going to be heavily needed in the future in preserving some of these old buildings and preserving our past. Does anybody have any questions for the panel? Any topics? We are available at the bar tonight to ask questions. We need a little bit of beer to ask some questions. We will be available. Yeah, don't go away. I'm speaking next. I'm going to be your next speaker, and I'm going to be talking about preservation and some of the restoration work that I've been working on lately. Bravo! So I'm going to be talking about preservation of log homes and structural screws. Those of you who don't know me already, my name is Kevin Maynard. So this is, I always like to embarrass my family. This is my daughter, and then my son Moses, and one of our workers, Hector at the time. And for those of you who don't know, I love taking selfies. This is my wife, Rebecca. She's from Ecuador, and this was taken in the Galapagos Islands. This photo is not Photoshopped. This is a real photograph of a seal in Ecuador. If you ever have a chance to get to the Galapagos Islands, I highly recommend it. It is absolutely gorgeous. For those that also don't know me, I've been in some serious car accidents. So this is, as I said before, I spoke in Estonia in 2010. A couple of years later, I got into a serious auto accident. Lucky to be alive, still standing. It's hard to keep a log builder down. Of course, I'm from Milwaukee. I drive Harleys, so I love motorcycles. This is my custom bike that I had. Just love to ride. Of course, even when I get pulled over, I take selfies of myself with the police officers. But then again, I got into a big motorcycle wreck. I was doing roughly about 100 miles an hour, and then I got rear-ended by a kid doing 179 miles an hour. So it's a miracle that I'm even standing here and alive. So the good news is, if you ride in a car or in the back of a bike with me, the chances you get in an accident are pretty slim. I even take selfies when I'm in the hospital in intensive care. My nurse, my doctor. But finding friends with the same mental disorder as you is priceless. Anybody knows Nick from Germany? These were some of the photographs taken from the ILBA conference. Part of preservation is this group right here. Why am I talking about this? Because this is where it's at. This is Mira. She's a famous architect. She's from our home state, but she lives in Washington. Catherine, she's a famous architect in Germany. She was doing log homes. I've known these people for years. They're like family. They've opened their homes to me. I've stayed at their houses in their countries. Nadine Mackey, Alan Mackey's daughter, the famous log builder from Canada. I mean, it's like part of preservation is knowing these people and understanding. This is part of our history. This is part of our heritage, is knowing these people. Of course, David. I mean, I've known David for a long time, before he was even married and had kids. Now look at this guy, he's a respectable young man. The Littler brothers, they're not here, but Josh Littler and I were here in 2010 speaking at the Estonian conference. So I've been to Estonia since 2010. And the hotel that we're staying at still has the most expensive sauna in Estonia. 39 euros for a sauna. That's pricey, but I guess that's just to turn it on. And since we were the only ones there, it was a one-time fee. But I met all these guys in the ILBA conference in 2006. Same thing with the Harkins and that. And I've been to all these guys' weddings. I mean, this is a family. This is about preservation. You know, it's like sharing the knowledge. Unfortunately, some of you might have got to know these people, some of you don't. This is Higgs Murphy. Unfortunately, he's one of my mentors. He passed away. But he was a great instructor, full of laughs. But it's like, if you don't talk to these people and ask questions, before you know it's gone.
So this is part of preserving our past. David Rogers, he, again, was one of my mentors. And fortunately, he's passed away as well. But this man knew so much about preservation and restoration. It was just a pleasure talking with this man. Unfortunately, he's passed away. But what we're currently doing is I'm on the chair of the Preservation Committee for the ILBA. And we're trying to set guidelines and standards for preservation because it's so important. It's like when you look across the countryside and you see these old buildings, just think if you were the one that built that building and now you see it in disarray, how would that make you feel inside? I mean, it's great to do new construction and it's easy and it's fast and efficient. But if you see your building, like one of these old log buildings on the time, what if that was your building that you built and you saw it like that? Would you have the heart and passion to build these new buildings? If you knew that your building would end up like one of those log houses on the side of the road? It makes you think. So that's how important preservation is. I mean, humans are the only species that would cut down a tree, make paper out of it, and then say, right, save the trees on it. I mean, that's not kind of what preservation is about. It's like, hey, preservation is like we need to protect what we made. Educate our clients, educate everybody with what's going on. I mean, it's the light. We need to preserve the buildings. We need to educate our clients on how to maintain and take care of their buildings. The last ILBA conference was this year in Montebello, and this is the gatehouse to the largest log structure in the world. It was built in the 1930s. It was built in, I believe, 3 months. Crews working 24 hours a day to get this building done in a 3-month period of time. When you see some of these photographs, if you've never been there, this is amazing accomplishment how they did this. It's just mind-blowing. I mean, to assemble this many people to build this building in a 3-month period, I don't even know how they did it. I mean, this thing is huge. But the problem with this building, it's in disarray. Again, imagine if you were on the crew, working 24 hours a day, building this, making the largest log structure still standing in the world today, and now it needs major repair. Imagine if that was you building this house or this project, and now you see it in disarray like that. How's that going to make you feel? That's the importance of preservation. So I'm the chair of the Preservation Committee, and we did a restoration course there, teaching some of the log restoration on this project. And we had to face a lot of challenges due to governmental laws and everything, so we weren't even sure we were going to have a program, but we did manage to get some of the things together, so we're trying to teach restoration. And as you can see, some of the buildings we're replacing corners, teaching how to do this, to preserve these buildings, because just like everything else, it's becoming a lost art. And there's so much knowledge even in this room with preservation that we're trying to put together a committee, and you can contact me after this, where we're trying to get information from people from all over the world on different preservation techniques and how to preserve these buildings. What's the best way? What's the best approach? And this is all thanks to my friend David Rogers, who tried starting this a while ago. And he's been pushing and pushing preservation. and preservation committees, but it's like anything else with any other famous person. Unfortunately, it took his passing to finally get the ball rolling. Yeah, as you can see, this building needs a lot of repair. Part of it's the design, part of it's the maintenance. And it's like, what are you going to do? What do you think about? What are our options? You know, it's great that, you know, the Estonian Open Air Museum has staff and money to back it up. But what if you don't have the staff and money to back up preservation? What is the next option? You know, what do we need to do? As you can see in the photograph, since I don't have a pointer, but it's like, okay, some of the log tail ends way up high on that peak. It's like, okay, if we preserve that again with cedar, that's a maintenance nightmare. And this is a historic building, so what do we do? So then that's when maybe other options by using epoxies or different types of materials where we're not exactly going to historic preservation, but we need to do something modern because it's cost effective. So sometimes doing the right thing and the old ways of doing things is not always the answer. Sometimes we have to do something different. We have to think outside the box and do what's right for the building. As you can see, these tails, it's like, okay, yeah, cut them off and then make it right or put a bigger overhang, but then that's going to change the look of the building. That's not what we want to do either. So we have to come up with other options, because if we just replace that with wood again and use a lift, it's just going to be a maintenance nightmare. So sometimes with preservation, it's like you got to figure out what's the balance, what is going on. One of the things I like to do, this is what I talked about when I was in Estonia, is this is a blower door. Some of you know what this is. It's become real popular now. But this is why I was brought over here in 2010, because I was one of the first people to do blower door testing and thermal imaging scans of log homes. And basically what this unit does is it creates a vacuum in the building. So then with the thermal imaging camera, you can pinpoint where the air leakage is, and then you can fix these areas of concern. And especially if you're building new buildings, it also helps out for water infiltration and water problems. So a lot of builders hire me when they're scratching their head at where's the water coming from? Or why are we getting condensation issues? So as you can see with the thermal imaging camera, not only do we use that, but sometimes just running a garden hose on the outside of the building isn't enough. Sometimes we have to run the blower door to find out where these problems are coming into the building. Because a building, what we have is called stack effect. And for those that don't know what stack effect is picture your building as a hot air balloon. Hot air rises. So for 1 cubic foot of air that leaves the building, 1 cubic foot of air has to come into the building. So a lot of times if you've got a water leakage problem, just running a garden hose on the outside of the building is not going to create the same thing. Because when you have a stack effect, if you've got wind coming, it's going to create a vacuum on the building, and it's going to do different things to that building, and that's how you get water coming into the building and can figure it out. With an IR camera or thermal imaging camera running water, and you can find the leaks real quick, fast, and efficiently. This is the other project that we worked on. It was a log structure, and back then, this is before building standards and building codes. And, you know, as you can see, this timber was way too long for the spans. And all the areas that I have circled in the photograph is where we're using structural screws. And one of the best things about coming to these conferences is getting the education. I didn't even know these screws existed till I came to one of these conferences. So sharing the knowledge and the education, I mean, that's why you guys pay good money to come here, is to gain the knowledge and experience. And these structural screws made me a superstar. I mean, some of the restoration that was done on this, they cut the tails off. I couldn't even believe it was still hanging with these clips with roofing nails. It's like, I didn't even know how this was still holding up. So basically, with some of the structural screws, what we used, I know Mightycon Solution is what I use. I mean, Rotoblast is another company, but these panel lifters weren't even designed for this. So this is where my ADHD comes in, where I think outside the box. So I'm using these panel screws, and I'm actually pulling the building in, and we raise the trusses up. I take measurements of everything to see what's going on with the building, with the preservation, to see what we can and what we can't do. That's my son Moses. So we're jacking up the collar tie, cutting, and that's part of the skill in the education and the technique that needs to be done. It's like, hey, you gotta know what you're doing, because it's not like building a new house. It's like, okay, where can we put the jacks? How much pressure can I put on this wood? Some of it's from experience. This isn't, you can't learn this from a book. You gotta learn this from somebody like myself, or somebody that knows about preservation. Yeah, there's no school on this. This is from experience. So after we straightened it out, we used all these super screws in all these areas. And even the owner from the company, Max from Mightycon Solutions, like, hey, nobody's ever done this before. And I was so confident in his product that I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And the homeowner was okay with it. He's like, hey, go for it. I trust you. So as you can see, my son Moses is putting these screws in on the angles, and we were putting these screws in on every 8 inches. I'm not gonna go into these screws, but some of the videos that I have on how strong these screws are and how much it strengthens the wood is just mind-blowing if you don't know about them. And if you want to see the video, it's about an 8-minute video. I'll be more than happy to show it to you later on this evening, or the next day, or even send it to you. So we're placing the screws about 8 inches apart. It's just like my motorcycle accident. It's like putting rods and pins in your thumb. You know, it strengthens the wood fibers. I took a 3-inch bow out. Some people say that's impossible. It's like, you can't push a 3-inch bow out and not have it come back. You know, a lot of engineers will tell you can only do 1 inch at a time, or a couple centimeters. But we took out about 3 inches, which is about like that much, and it held with those screws. Plus, it made it a lot stronger. These are some of the screws that we use. They're very inconceivable. You know, you can barely see them once they're in. These are the screw holes where we have the plates. It's like, yeah, that doesn't look good now, but you know, part of the restoration, when I'm done, that's what it looks like. When I do preservation or restoration work, you shouldn't really know that you're there if you know what you're doing. And can this be done? Can this be achievable? Yes, it can. You know, it's trial and error, but it can be done. And the other thing about preservation that's difficult is, where a lot of you guys don't want to do it, is you never know what you're going to run into. And with your clients and your customers, we always charge like by time and material, and we bill out typically weekly. So that way we know that we're getting paid, because sometimes they're not going to let your clients, or unfortunately sometimes your clients are not going to let you know that they're running out of money, because sometimes the projects can go more than what you know, because you never know what you're going to find. Because when we open the wall on the other side to to strengthen these screws out, there was no insulation there. So we're like, hey, this is going to be an added expense. So then we had to encapsulate it in closed cell spray foam. And that's what it looks like when we're done. It's like when you're done with your project, it should even look like you were there. To me, that's good preservation. It's like there's no reason after you're done with what you're doing, you should be able to match your stains, you should be able to match your sealants, you should be able to match your paints. Paints are easy. Everybody in the world now has the paint matching machines, you know, where you can bring a sample of paint and go to the hardware store and get it matched, even with color fade. Staining, no magic machine. That's the next billion-dollar idea, whoever can invent that. But it's like if you're good at it and you got samples with you when you're doing preservation work, you can match these stains and sealants. It just takes time, it takes practice. But once you do it, you're going to get good at it. If you guys have any questions for me, you can always ask me any types of questions that you have or answers or that. It's like I'm always available. This is my new website that I created, so you can get a hold of me. We're trying to set up a preservation committee, and I'm trying to gather people from around the world that do preservation. So even if you don't do preservation, please try to get a hold of me. That way we can put together a committee and guidelines and standards and put together different ideas of what's happening and what's going on so we can preserve some of these buildings. Because we don't always have all these resources that everybody else has. And when it comes to preservation, it gets very complicated. It gets, interesting with the details. We don't know what we're going to do or understand, but we need people like yourselves, or if you know somebody that has a company that's in preservation and you feel that they know what they're doing, please have them reach out to me, because we need to preserve these buildings. We need to educate our clients, because as we had in our panel discussion, it's like there's a need for that, because the main thing with our industry is like, what are log homes? They're air leaky, they're drafty. It's like, how come you don't live in a log home? Well, this or that. My daughter, she's been on enough restoration projects with me. It's like she doesn't even want to own a log home, because she only sees the worst of the worst. She doesn't see the good stuff. She doesn't see the final products. She just sees the bad and the ugly, and it's like, oh boy, this is what a log home is all about. I don't want it. I don't want to live in one. I don't want to touch one. It's like how expensive it is to maintain and take care of it. It's like we don't need to poison people like that. Log homes, as we talked about it, in a preservation standpoint, if they're built right, they're built correctly, we educate our clients using the right products, the right materials, we're not going to have these problems. Because when we see, even with preservation going down the road, when we see a building that's not been maintained, even a log structure, we're putting that bad image in other people's head. It's like, oh, there's another log home on the side of the road that's falling apart. So even when we drive across the countryside, I don't care what country you're from, there's one of those log buildings that's like that in disarray. So it either needs to get fixed or taken down, otherwise people are going to have a bad insight on our products. So it's very important to have the preservation in place and to educate our clients on how to maintain and take care of these buildings. It's very, very important to show them how to use what stains and sealants, and maybe even keep in contact with some of these people. Because one of the log home companies I work for, it's like, when we built the house, I never saw the couple again. It's like, how many people of you out there know your clientele, or how many houses have you visited that you built and checked upon it 4 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later. Probably less than half of you, if I would guess, from talking to other people that I know in the trades in the industry. You know, and especially when the house gets bought or sold and somebody else buys it. Is that information passed on? Typically not, because one of my main occupations is I do home inspections, and I've been doing home inspections on log structures for 20 years, and now I do litigation work as well. And it's like, that information is not passed on to the next homeowner on how to maintain and take care of that building. And that's part of the preservation aspect that we need to teach people and understand people and try to keep in contact with some of the buildings that you're building. But thank you, I appreciate it. Okay. So today's the end of the conference. I was the last speaker, and then we're going to be going on to day 2 tomorrow. I think we'll bring Annika up here, because I think we're going to have some of the speakers tomorrow are going to be the highlights of Jackson, talking about the Notre Dame reconstruction. Oh, yeah, I even had that on there. And Annika up on the stage, and I didn't even read it, so it was like a preliminary viewpoint.
Yeah, what would you do without my notes, right? What's up with the axe?
Axe Kevin? How Axe Kevin started was, in the ILBA, we have axe throwing competitions, the double-handed sided axe, and I'm one of the champions in the axe throwing competition. Robert Savignac is my other one. So he had to rub it in this year because he almost shot a perfect score. So perfect score is 25, he got a 24. Last year we tied one another. I had a 23, he had a 23, and then I lost to him on the shootout, but he's older. But the year before that, I beat him on his own turf, so I was happy with that. That's why it's Axe Kevin, because everybody's asking me questions.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Let's give him a huge applause for today's work as moderator and one of the speakers as well. You will continue tomorrow, so don't get too settled yet. What's next? As Kevin mentioned, then tomorrow, actually the conference tomorrow focusing on the renovation, reconstruction, preservation topics. You can see this in the program as well. But what now? Now we will have 2-hour break, meaning that we will come back here at 7 o'clock for the dinner gala. I have something prepared for you as well. I hope you will enjoy it. So take a 2-hour break. You can go into the hotel, make a check-in. Who hasn't done it, who have done it, you can go to the hotel, change clothes, whatever, go to swim. It's really warm outside. The lake is quite nearby. But please be back at 7. And if possible, please take cash with you, as we have an open bar, but it's only cash only. And as a side note, all the money that is spent in the bar will be a prize pool for our Saturday's log house building competition winner. So it's a charity as well. Please be generous, right? And what else? If you're leaving, then today is also a chance to already put together your own gift from us. You see close to the door that there is a bowl of seeds. Please do not eat them. put them in a paper bag, take with you wherever you are, and then there are some instructions what to do with them. And let's see after 30 or 40 years what happens.
And if you're traveling abroad, I'd highly not recommend doing that.
Well, you can stuck it somewhere. But all right, thank you all. See you in the evening at 7 o'clock. And if possible, then I will need 4, 5 men just to help me 5 minutes, if possible. So the volunteers can stay here.
Men that are 40 years and younger.
Grazie.